Hey everybody, my name's Seth and welcome back to my chart ruler series. Today we're going to be talking about Virgo as your chart ruler, and here we go. The chart ruler is the planet that rules your first house. It's kind of just that simple. The difference between the chart ruler and the ruler of your second house, the ruler of your third house, the ruler of your fourth, is that the chart ruler is actually giving a strong direction to your life. What's going on with the planet that rules your first house is actually putting a lot of information into where and how you use your ascendant at all. So with Mercury as your chart ruler and it's sitting in your first house, 9 times out of 10, this is going to mean that Mercury is in Virgo. It could be in Leo, it could be in Libra. I cannot cover all of that. I'm going to have to talk about general. And in general, this is going to mean Mercury sitting in Virgo. You see Mercury and Virgo sitting in the first house, and as a chart ruler, you see that this analytical nature that Mercury has and Virgo has, it is its own ruler. It's being projected out into the world. The analytical faculties are just really being projected out into the world, where I've noticed that planets that sit in the first house, they're not mainly for us. We don't hold them, we don't really see them as things to really be valued. That doesn't really come into the second house. We kind of just use it, we project it, we try to get ahead with it, and it's constantly for others or being used in an outward fashion to get us ahead and maybe even used up and thrown out. And when you see that happening with Mercury, you see that it's more of a visual tool sitting on the first house. You see that you see things and you notice the little tiny details, or you're doing something with your hands, you're working on something and you're dealing with the tiny details. You're doing your makeup or doing your hair or getting dressed, and you're taking care of the details. It's what's right in front of you that's going to get the most attention. And with Mercury being projected out through Virgo, it's going to be vision, it's going to be touch, it's going to be your 5 senses. What are those things going to have to be dealing with right now? Maybe not discovering them and enjoying those 5 senses is, again, more the second house, but actually utilizing them and using them to the best of your ability is going to be Mercury and Virgo on your ascendant. You're going to look at Mars, where Mars is placed in the chart, and you're going to get an idea of what Mercury is really pushing you to do with your life. What is that doing with your chart ruler? What are they saying to each other, I guess you could say. And then you look at where Aries is placed, because it is the natural ruler of the first house, and Aries more than likely is sitting in the 8th house, and that's going to give you an idea of what your first house is wanting to do as well, what your first house is about. And what that tells you is that you're going out there and you're using your analytical faculties to try and gain some type of power, some type of security, emotional security more often than not. You want to be helpful, you want to try to be a helpful person, but it's at a cost. You don't like doing things for free. It's not that you're not a helpful person, but it's just you feel things should be balanced, weighed out. Let's exchange resources, let's exchange energy. I don't want to just keep giving things out and feeling as if I'm going to be drained, because I need to protect me. I need to protect my emotional side. So there's a little bit of prudence that's coming from Aries sitting in the 8th. And that striving for power, that striving for the ability to have authority in the world is coming and being projected out here through your ascendant because of your chart ruler. And it's actually not very hard. Again, you use your analytical nature, you use your projection of Virgo, Mercury type tendencies to gain the respect of authority. They see that you follow the rules, they see that you follow them well, they see that you do your job the best, or you try to do your job the best. They see that your skills are more than necessary to keep their business running. And that's kind of like the spot you like to be in. You might actually like to be the person where people can't get things done without you. They can't survive without you, or you're irreplaceable. You may really strive for that and work very hard to get into a position where you quitting is the only way you could get out of it, because they absolutely need you. It's a little tricky, could be a little manipulative, but hopefully it's something a little bit more positive. And really, when you look at it all as a whole, you kind of get to see that the real drive of it all, outside of the striving for power, because it's like power for what? And outside of the idea of security from what? It's the idea of trying to eliminate the gray. You like thinking that the world is black and white. You kind of feel as if it needs to be sometimes. You might think that's a little taboo, that people might disagree with you or say that you're a minimalist or something along those lines, a communist, who knows. But you kind of don't like the gray too much. You think a little too much gray in the world is bad. I mean, when there's too much color, everything just becomes gray. Sometimes you need black and white. Sometimes the rules just need to be the rules. Sometimes authority just needs to be authority. Sometimes it just is what it is, and we need to stop trying to pretend it's not. And that you can definitely, through your life, fight for the side of that argument and why that argument is a respectable one. With Mercury sitting in the second house, this is going to be more than likely Mercury in Libra. It could be Mercury in Virgo, it could be Mercury in Scorpio, but more than likely it's Mercury in Libra. So while Mercury is in Libra, it kind of adopts this intuitive ability to define beauty, to kind of look around, find it, go towards it, draw it to itself. This is more of a social thing. This is more of an abstract sort of thing, because it's in Libra compared to like Mercury in Taurus, where it might literally attract and go for like things that are smooth, things that are soft, things that are tasty, like the five senses, things that would be beautiful to the five senses. Where Mercury in Libra would be something beautiful like a woman with a really symmetrical face, or a man with a really symmetrical face, really nice clothes, or an abstract piece of art that's beautiful. Like there's this intuitive ability to find beauty in places that others wouldn't think to find it, or to ask questions to bring out beauty, to draw it out, to know where to look, know where to dig to get it. That intuitive ability is put to work in the second house, because the second house wants it. Second house is about, let's get those resources and let's be able to go get them. Let's find ways and open up opportunities for us to gain resources, so I can hold them and decide when to trade them for something else. And then when you actually do that trading and you give your money for a certain thing, for a certain possession maybe, or you trade a certain possession for another possession, a little more old-timey, that transaction is looked at from your 8th house, and then you decide, was that transaction worth it? But the idea that you want to give yourself the ability to make that transaction is coming from the second house. And when you have Mercury sitting in your second house, firstly, your 8th house is busy because you're going to be trying to make a lot of transactions because of Libra. And secondly, it's very important that you pay attention to how you gain resources and what kind of resources that you want, and building your taste, so to speak, and knowing how to go find it, how to surround yourself with what it is that you respect, what it is that you appreciate, in a beauty aspect, in a value aspect, whatever aspect you want to look at it from. This also shows that teamwork actually drives your creativity. To try to do things on your own, you're capable of it. Like, you're definitely capable of going out there and making things work on your own, being your own boss, being your own woman, being your own man. But when you have a team member, when you have someone there you can bounce ideas off of, someone there where like you don't have to try to be every side of the issue, you actually have someone who's another side, one less side for you to think about, you can just ask them. Even better if there's 3 people, then you have 3 different sides that you don't have to try to be. You can just ask them and they will tell you the ideas that the other side that you want to think about so much. It's helpful. It's just very helpful. It helps you make decisions. It helps you put you in a place where you feel responsible, because other people know what you're doing. So if you just quit, you're more than likely to be embarrassed. So you're more likely to stay on top of things, be a little less lazy, be a little more responsible, be a little more dedicated. Just teamwork, it really helps drive the already natural ability that Mercury is bringing to the table here in Libra. Now the problem is that you might undermine your own definition of self here, because the second house isn't just about possessions, just having something. It's a relationship between us and our possessions, and how those possessions help let us know who we are. You can know who you are, know that you're Amy, know that you're John, know that you're Adam. Like, you know what I mean? You can know that you're these people, and that's just your first house. You just know that you're them. Look at yourself in the mirror and you're like, here I am. But there are things that connect that help you feel grounded. Like, this is my room. This is my bed. These are my shoes. These are my clothes. I know who I am because I've collected these things and they were a part of who I am. And sometimes they'll fall apart, or sometimes I'll have to buy a new one, or sometimes I regret having it, and then it's helping me understand who I am more outside of myself now. You know what I mean? Understanding how the relationship between me and my possessions, and that relationship can have its own connotations, and again, that's the 8th house. But the point is that those possessions hold weight in our world and hold weight in how we understand ourselves. So when you have Libra here, you may have a tendency to try to be everyone. You don't know who you are because you don't want to limit yourself, especially Mercury in Libra. You don't want to limit yourself. You don't want to feel as if I'm stuck being this person, or I'm a liberal, or I'm a Republican. I don't want to be either. Like, I just want to be somewhere in the middle. I want a little bit more gray. Now, emphasis is going to be put on gray a little bit more in the 2nd house, and I don't want to have to choose all these different things. And then that's when you see that your possessions are starting to get weird, and it's hard for you to find real flow because you're trying to not stick to one thing everywhere. And then you're going to see, with energy coming from your 8th house, you're going to need to try to make some decisions. You're going to need to decide who you are, decide where you stand, and maybe not stay there for long, but don't try to be everyone. Don't try to be everything for everyone, because it undermines your own ability to use your possessions to identify with your world. Now, you look at Venus and where it's sitting in your chart, and you get an idea of what your relationship is like with these possessions. What is the tenor of these relationships, and what draws you to certain things? What is it about that beauty that draws you there? You could have Venus in an air sign, and it could be an intellectual thing. Venus in a water sign, and it could really be a memory thing, an emotional thing. You just really get an idea of what exactly is tying or tethering you to these things that help you represent your world. You look at Taurus, which is more than likely sitting in your 9th house, and you get an idea of what it is your ascendant is trying to do here. And with Mercury as your ascendant ruler, and it's sitting in Libra, and it's sitting in the 2nd house, it's going to have to influence your ascendant. So Virgo is now becoming part of the deal again. And what's Virgo trying to do with Mercury as its chart ruler? It's trying to enforce its beliefs. You're pulling beliefs from your relationship with your values, and this is coming from Taurus sitting in your 9th house. There's a relationship between those two houses now, between your 2nd and your 9th, because Taurus is the natural ruler of the 2nd. Now, what your ascendant is trying to do with its ruler sitting in the 2nd, being a part of that relationship, is enforce that philosophy surrounding your values, and enforce how you see your world, how you understand your world based on how immersed you are in your values. And your influence on the world really starts to become your defining of beauty and the philosophy behind it. You may be someone who becomes like someone who writes about beauty, someone who goes out and critiques other things, becomes a critic, someone who just really goes out there and enforces their philosophy, make sure that their philosophy is heard, make sure that their philosophy is understood, and making sure that their relationship with possessions, their relationship with beauty, their relationship with how they understand beauty is actually concrete and in the world, and can be held and can become something that they can sit down in their room, that they can sit down in their space and make a part of physically how they see themselves in this physical world. Okay, so now with Mercury in Scorpio and 3rd house as your chart ruler, this could be Mercury in Libra, this could be Mercury in Sagittarius, but more likely than not, it is Mercury in Scorpio. Now with Mercury here as your chart ruler, you're seeing a big influence on how you represent yourself, because as your chart ruler, it's heavily influencing your ascendant. So when you have Scorpio heavily influencing your ascendant, even coming from the 3rd house, there's some darker bent to how you express yourself. Now, the first thing is that your questioning of what's around you, that curiosity that the 3rd house naturally gives, that Mercury naturally has, is actually sort of being pushed to a little bit more of an extreme, and you might actually become questioning or become sort of untrusting of what's around you. Anything that could not be blatantly fact, anything that isn't just immediately known to you as reality, is something you may question and not actually believe in until it proves itself. Everything's guilty until it's proven innocent. Sort of mentality. You also may end up being struck by fear a lot of the time, where a lot of people don't really associate it with the third house or with Gemini energy, but it is, or even Mercurial energy. It is a timid energy. It's a little bit more timid about its approach to understanding the world compared to its duality. Sagittarius is just a lot more upfront about its approach to understanding the world. They both want to understand the world. That's what they have in common. That's why they're duality. But Gemini is definitely a lot more timid about its approach. It wants to be sit and read. It doesn't want to go out and see. So when you have your Mercury here and such a powerful planet sitting in Scorpio, it's going to amplify that timidness. That timidness is going to start to evolve into maybe fear or anxiety about discovering new things. You may become may enforce a little bit more of that everything's guilty until proven innocent, because you don't want to trust that you'll be okay. You don't want to trust that everything will be okay when you try to go out and learn something new, or if you're forced to learn something new. And it also would hinder the expression a little bit. You might not be as open about talking about things that you learned that are kind of lighthearted. You might only speak when you talk about something that you know for sure and that you're pretty sure that people around you won't make fun of you for, or crucify you for, or just ignore you for. You want to make sure that everything you say has a point and that it will be heard and respected. And it's not so much an ego thing, it's more of a fear thing. You're afraid to be rejected. Now, when you're comfortable, of course, and when you're in a place where you feel as if you can speak a little bit more freely, your humor comes out. That's definitely one big thing that comes out of Mercury and Scorpio, is humor, and how sharp it is and how witty it is and how dark it can be in such a good way, where you can kind of use humor to take people to dark places, and use humor to exchange with people who may even be in a dark place. You can kind of make unhappy people laugh, and it doesn't have to be like, oh, we feel better now, but it's just like, yeah, we let some of the stress out. Not everyone needs to be happy all the time. And your ability to portray certain messages is amplified. Like when you have something you want to say, you can find very, very subtle, very, very abstract ways to say something. It might be based off of fear. It might come out of necessity when you are inhibited by fear or inhibited by that timidness. But it does give you the ability to be very, very creative about the way in which you express things, and have you say something in that one short sentence be layered with so many different meanings. You may actually become a little obsessed with being able to do that, but it's an interesting skill to have. And when Mercury is your chart ruler, and you have Virgo, which it also rules, sitting on your ascendant, then this is very pronounced. It becomes a very pronounced part of your personality. You see Mercury sitting here in the third house, and it is the ruler of the third house, so you're going to look at it to see where's this coming from. Like, what do you want to do with this energy? And when it's sitting in its own third house, you want to put it out there. You want to make sure that it's heard. You want to tell people your point of view. You want to be able to understand other people's point of view. You want to have some type of exchange. You want to have some type of connection. The only difference is that you're not a fan of vapid or inconsequential or superficial sorts of exchange. You want it to mean something. It needs to be more than fun. It needs to be more than interesting. Look at where Gemini is placed, and that's more than likely on the midheaven. Then you see that there's a bit of ego placed in there, and it's not so much like Leo ego where you need to be heard. It's more of a Capricorn ego where it's like, if you're going to be heard, you need to be respected for what you say. Like, it's coming from what I talked about a little bit earlier about the idea of speaking out of necessity, speaking when you know you're going to be heard, when you know you're going to be respected, and you know you're not going to be ignored. It may come out of fear, but when you follow those lines and you put yourself in that position, that means that people will start to respect you because of your words, that people will take your words seriously, and that you might actually become known for what you say. And you might understand that you are known for what you say, and that your inquiries and your mode of thinking and the things that you say and the things that you communicate, the things that you write, get a lot of attention, and that you can do something with that. And what you want to do with that now is up to you, but the fact that you understand that power is sitting on your fingertips is well pronounced here. And your influence on the world actually becomes very calculated and potent. Your influence on the world is what you want it to be, but you understand that whatever it is that you go after is going to get noticed. It's going to take a lot of hard work. It's going to take a lot of you having to dig in to why you want to communicate and what it is you're trying to communicate. And it's going to take a lot of research. And it's going to take a lot of work for you to get this work out. But once you finally produce something and produce an opinion, a well thought out opinion on whatever it is that you're focusing on, it's going to get attention. It's going to gain you power. It's going to gain you influence. It's going to give you a name. And it's really up to you what you want to do with that potential. Now for Mercury in the 4th house is Mercury in Sagittarius, more than likely. It could be Mercury in Scorpio, it could be Mercury in Capricorn, but we're going to talk about Mercury in Sagittarius. When you have Mercury in Sagittarius in the 4th house as chart ruler, you see that there is vast expansion in the mind at home. There's your personal space and your personal world, and really the idea of how you remember it. When really remembering something is kind of just a story you tell yourself over and over, where the facts kind of fall away. But with memory, things become brighter in hindsight. Things become better in hindsight. And your personal world and this home that you try to create for yourself, as well as the home that you grew up in, exposed you to a lot of diversity. Either you were born in a big city, or you traveled a lot, or just people traveled to you a lot. And you were exposed to a lot of different types of people. Now with Mercury being here, especially as your chart ruler, this makes communication very tempting. Now whether this communication was actually allowed, whether it was actually embraced, whether it was actually possible, it was tempting. You wanted to do it. You wanted to understand where they came from. You wanted to understand where the world was like. You wanted to understand who these people were and what this diversity meant. But there was a bit of a wall. It's either you were being protected by other people and they only made sure that the safest people to talk to were the ones you were able to talk to, or there was a sort of a wall coming from you or other people that stopped you from being able to reach out and really understand what was going on around you because they weren't considered safe. Now, this need for communication, this need for understanding diversity may drive you to be a little bit more bookish, because you're talking about the 4th house here, and we're talking about Virgo on the ascendant. If you're not up for being the most communicative person, then you're going to be the type of person that wants to learn about this diversity by reading about it. You want to sit down and search about all these different places and maybe go there one day, or maybe just dream about going there one day, or maybe find someone and make friends with them and create a safe space with someone who's from somewhere else, so you can learn about what's going on. You're less likely to be the type of person to just immediately engage with a stranger and figure out where they're from. But if they talk about where they're from, you're more likely to become a friend with them. You're more likely to become friends and create relationships with the diverse people, because they spark your interest, and when they spark that interest, conversation makes you a lot more willing to get comfortable and to let them in. Your home, it also becomes a great space for you to ignite inspiration and to daydream and create big ideas for your future. The home may be a great place for you to have an office. It may be a very good idea for you to have a personal space with a desk and a computer and writing paper and the tools that you need to get a job done. Maybe an office outside of your office, because this is where your Mercury really runs wild. You feel most comfortable in a space that you're very comfortable, and the home is a great place to do that. A home is a great place for you to get work done and to dream and to plan. Especially with this being your chart ruler, because yes, Sagittarius is about planning, is about dreaming, is about these things, but Sagittarius isn't always about follow through. Your ascendant will pick up the slack, and you will definitely want to follow through on plans when you feel that you've put enough effort into it. With this being your chart ruler, there's that effort, there's that stick-to-itness coming from the 4th house. There's that stick-to-itness coming from Virgo, and then the inspiration, the spark, the talent is coming from Sagittarius as well as Virgo. Now, you look at where the moon is placed, and you get an idea of what is the environment in which you want to dream about. What is the future looking like for you in your mind? That's what the moon is going to tell you. What are you most focused on? You're going to have a moon and an earth sign, and you may be looking at a future where it's like, this is what I want for the public, or this is what I want for my new home, or this is what I want for my physical life. You could look at maybe the moon in a fire sign, and you're like, this is what I want for my future. This is the fun that I want to be having. This is the possibilities that I want to have for myself. This is the opportunities that I want to be able to gain in the future. And being at home and being in your workspace at home is where you are able to build upon that. Now, you also look at where Cancer is placed, which is more than likely in the 11th house, and you really get an idea of how these diverse people that you eventually let in, these diverse people that you communicate with, will later support you. Their ideas, their experiences, your relationship with them, and your ability to take from their experiences is how they are going to be able to support you. You're going to find that the people that you let into your life are very, very, very supportive of you and what you have going for you and any ideas that you want to get done. And your relationships with them and your ability to let people in and to be vulnerable with others that maybe are connected with these people will help you gain more and more support. Maybe just emotional support, and that's as important as financial support or intellectual support, or maybe even opportunistic support. But to be able to unlock any of that, you're going to need to be able to facilitate relationships that matter and facilitate relationships that open up doors for you to understand diversity and work off of their diversity. This makes for the world's influence on you to be extremely potent, and the world's influence on you actually helps you grow and create an influence on the world. You're, I guess a weird thing we could say is that you would be able to give birth to something amazing, be able to give something to the masses that is amazing, something that you've worked on, something that was fun for you to actually get done, something that you worked on tediously with that ascendant of yours, and your influence is actually a consequence or a repercussion of how the world influenced you and how much influence it put on you, and how other people's experiences and other people's love and other people's support gave you the opportunity to come out with something amazing. Now, Capricorn in the 5th house, Mercury in Capricorn in the 5th house. This could be Mercury in Sagittarius, this could be Mercury in Aquarius, but we're going to talk about Mercury in Capricorn in the 5th house as your chart ruler. With Mercury being in Capricorn, especially sitting in the 5th house, you're going to get the idea that you need to earn happiness, that you need to earn praise, that these things that Leo craves, actually those cravings get turned into feelings of responsibility. You may feel as if you're responsible for earning these things that you want, and you may assume that people just don't hand you things, or you may find out very early, depending on how much, if any, and how much Capricorn leaks into your 4th house, that no one hands you anything, and that you got to go out there and get it. And you may actually enjoy the idea of you going out there and earning something and knowing that it's yours because you went out there and you did it. And having Mercury there means that you have great ideas about how to do so, how to go out there and earn it. With your chart ruler having such an influence on your ascendant, you know how to learn from these experiences. Capricorn has a way of kind of getting stuck in its own mode and just going on that mode, and working harder instead of smarter. And when you have when Virgo is your ascendant, you actually learn that you could be doing it better. You actually learn to look around and analyze your environment every once in a while and find where you actually could be doing things better, because Capricorn isn't so much about self-perfection as much as it is growth in whatever way that it wants to grow. And it may not want to self-perfect and self-improve as much as just do better. And it could be riding on its last wheel, but as long as it's getting that money, it's happy. Virgo's more about, no, like, let's make sure that we're not on our last wheel. Let's make sure that we're doing better. Let's make sure that we're investing in things that'll help us move smoother while we get more. There's a great balance there with Mercury sitting here in your you may also feel that you need to take charge in festivities and happy events, joyous events. You may feel as if you need to facilitate them, or that people put you in the role of responsibility for that, which means like you're going to have less fun because you're responsible for making sure everyone else is having fun, but you actually may take a lot of joy out of that, take a lot of joy out of making other people happy and facilitating an environment for people to have fun, for people to party, for people to engage with each other, and to have a little bit more of a celebration. You may have a lot of fun letting that happen or giving people an experience. And that also goes into the fact that you may feel responsible for empowering others. You may feel very responsible for making sure that other people feel like they are empowered people, feel as if they're not treaded on, feel as if that they have someone in their corner. You may feel very responsible for that. I think if we look at the idea of that expansion that I talked about in another video, expansion on the definitions of Cancer and Capricorn, beyond the mother and father, and really more about the idea of the establishment, the idea of why do we need policy and law, and who is we. Cancer would be we, the public, the people who live here and understand each other and have emotions as a mass, and Capricorn being the energy that needs to give them what they need, that needs to give them law, give them order, give them establishments, give them a way to feed one another, give them a way to feel safe in their homes. Capricorn, that's what Capricorn really should be doing. And you find that when Capricorn becomes self-serving, that's when Capricorn becomes corrupt. And when you find Capricorn in the 5th house, you find, again, it's really not a self-serving energy. This isn't about finding the ways to make you the most money. You're going to find that you're not going to be happy. Then you might find that some celebrities that with Virgo ascendants and Capricorn in their 5th house aren't the happiest when they reach that top level. They're most happy giving, and so is Virgo, really. When you look at Mercury being his chart ruler, giving and being someone who can help, being someone who can empower. And with Mercury being the chart ruler sitting here, empowerment and finding creative ways to empower creative people is a great strength and a great draw, a great craving, so to speak. Look at the sun and you get an idea of what it is that you want to empower in other people. What is it that you want to remind them that they are great at? Remind the world that this is important, that you are important, and that this matters and you deserve respect. And you look at Leo sitting in the 12th house and you find that it's something a little bit more than just empowering them because they're being treaded on. It's more like, I'm empowering you because you deserve it, because you deserve to feel like a whole person, you deserve to feel like a human being, you deserve to feel like a soul that is seen and respected, because you know how it feels to feel as if your light is ignored, to feel as if you need to earn what other people are kind of given. And when you look out there and you find people who don't just have to earn it, and not only are they not given it, it's taken away from them, that's going to enrage you. And it's going to make you want to stand behind them and prop them up and hold them up and protect them, because no one deserves to get their light taken from them. Just like you know how rough it is to have to go earn your light. This makes your influence in the world to be greatly influenced by others, and the idea of helping others and trying to help facilitate an environment for unique perspectives to be put on display, and in creating an environment for other people's light to be shined upon others and to be respected and to be seen by others. So it's a pretty interesting place up there. Alright, so Mercury and Aquarius in the 6th house. This could be Mercury and Capricorn, this could be Mercury and Pisces, but we are going to be talking about Mercury and Aquarius as the chart ruler. Now, the analysis of people, the idea of understanding someone's character and understanding what their character is capable of and where they fit in the world, actually becomes a place of pride, or a skill that you become very proud of, maybe not even positively so, but with this Mercury placement as the chart ruler, your ability to understand people, understand where they're coming from, not only just their intentions, but what makes them up, like who they are. You can understand people and where they come from very clearly, and your ascendant just helps you do that. Your ability to analyze people and understand where they fit and what they're best utilized for is a fantastic skill that you take a lot of pride in. You may be a very good manager, a very good hiring manager, a very good person to hire actors for a movie or something like that. You can look into them and see their possibility and see what they can do before they know it, or even understand it better than they do. And the idea of working for a community and putting your skills to the test and putting your skills up for use in a community is something that you're very dedicated to. dedication period is very much what you're about. You have your chart ruler in the 6th house and your ascendant in Virgo. Being able to be dedicated to something and be able to work towards something that you believe in is highly important. But having it in Aquarius means that it's about the community. It's about working towards something that's going to be beneficial for not only you, but the people around you, the people that you think about when you say that my loved ones are there, or my friends, or my acquaintances, or just people that I feel I owe something to, and not because, like, I owe them something, like they gave me something first, but I owe it to society, I owe it to humanity to do something good along these lines. Those are the type of things that you are highly dedicated to. And something else that would be attached to pride would actually be the ability to break ground. And that doesn't always mean to be the first at something, but to maybe be the person that takes it to the next step, that looks at something that was made and says, you know what, it could be used this way that nobody else has used it for yet, or we can improve upon it in a way in which no one else has improved it yet. You don't have to be the person to always invent something new, even though you might really have that drive as well, but to take something that's already there and improve upon it, make it better, make it more useful, make it something even more advanced, is something you take a lot of pride in. It's something that you might be very, very tethered with what you do every day, something that you want to get done, something that you are dedicated to. With your Mercury being here, it's also something that you're just very good at, period, and that might be why. A lot of people don't know this, but Virgo is a competitive sign. It does have competitive nature, but Virgo only likes to play games that it knows how to win at. If they're already good at it, then they're going to play it. Like, this is the sign right after Leo. Not a lot was left behind. And when you have your Mercury sitting here in the 6th house, the things that you're good at are the things you want to keep doing. And Aquarius will help facilitate understanding what you're good at and finding opportunity to continue to be good at it and get better at it. But things that you're not good at, you may avoid unless you absolutely have to deal with it, unless it's absolutely a part of your job, a part of your responsibility, and then you will not allow yourself to not be good at it. But if you're not good at it and it's not useful, fuck it. If you're not winning, then you don't want to play. And that is very much can be seen with this placement. Look at where Mercury is placed and in the chart, and it's going to be sitting right here in its own house, and you get an idea that your idea of work is becoming something of a catch-22, because you want to be dedicated to something that is actually very hard to be dedicated to. You're going to want to put yourself through trauma work-wise, with this being Aquarius that Mercury is sitting in, because it's telling you what kind of work you want to get into, and it's going to be work that's going to have to be a struggle, saving people that need more than one person to save them, going and conquering an issue that needs more than one person to conquer it, going after and going towards something that you know damn well you need a team, and a good team at that. So you want to put yourself in positions where you're on the outskirts because nobody else is willing to pull together the effort or the energy or the resources to get this shit done besides you and other people who have charts like you, or other people who have this drive like you, but you're going to have to go out and find them, and you're totally prepared to do that, but it is a necessity. You cannot get what you need done without going out and finding those unique people that are just as driven as you, or just as talented as you, or just as ambitious as you about getting this specific thing or these specific things done, fixed, or acquired. Find Virgo actually sitting on the ascendant, and there it is. That's where you're going to get the idea of where this is coming from. Where this drive is coming from, where your influence is coming from. And this is a very karmic place. Now we're seeing the karmic placement, and when you have a Virgo ascendant and you have Mercury sitting in your 6th house, we're talking about Aquarius, but Mercury sitting in your 6th house in Aquarius, that's an extremely karmic placement. That's something that means that you were meant to do a lot of great things. There's a lot of responsibility on your shoulder, and you're putting that responsibility on your shoulder. There's something that you see. There's something that you're looking at in your daily life. That importance of visual perception with a Virgo ascendant is seen here, and there's something that you look at and you want to fix it. You're something that you're dealing with on a daily basis, and you want to advance upon it or incorporate it in what it is that you want to get done in your life. So this means what you want to get done in the world ends up being planned out to a T. You see it every day, you look at it every day, you deal with it every day. You're not going to be happy unless you're dealing with what it is that you want to get done every day, and you're going to put a lot of mental energy into working out a plan, into working out how it can get done, into working out why it needs to get done, figuring out the currency of this issue, why should anyone care, and how can you get them to notice it, and then working on improving upon those two facts, finding your audience, finding who's not your audience, and working with that as well. And this means that what you're going to try to do more than likely is going to change the world in some aspect. It's going to be something bigger than yourself. It's always going to end up leading to something much, much bigger than yourself. And it's most likely something that's going to have to be passed down. You're not going to get it all done yourself. You're most likely going to lay a very thick groundwork for what everyone needs to do after you're gone, and what everyone needs to do to keep this progression moving. It's going to be something that people are going to need to pick up, generations are going to need to extend upon, and you're going to need to lay down the groundwork to let them know how to do so. Now, with Mercury in Pisces as your chart ruler, this is Mercury in the 7th house. It could be Mercury and Aries, it could be Mercury in Aquarius, but we're going to be talking about Mercury in Pisces as a chart ruler in your 7th house. Now, with this placement, it means that you're very good at sniffing out unique people. You're very much into communicating with other people. This doesn't actually mean that you're talkative. You may just express yourself in whatever way is most comfortable to you as often as possible. In any opportunity that you can find, you will express yourself in that way. Now, this does mean that once you do acquire a relationship, the 7th house is about labeling a relationship, the labeling of it, and understanding that this person is an acquaintance, this person is a friend, this person is a best friend, this person is family to me. Understanding that, and understanding the very complex relationships in between. Once they get that label, you now know how much energy you're willing to put on them, how much communication you're willing to give them, how much vulnerability you're willing to exchange with them. And this idea of being able to label all these different people, and Mercury being an active part of your labeling of these relationships, means that you are very good at finding unique people and bringing unique people into your life and letting unique people get very close to you, so you can have unique perspectives around you at all times, and you can feed off of their unique artistic energies. This also means that you look for guru type people. You may find very unique artistic people to help groom you, to help support you, and you'll know what you're looking for. And your ability to kind of think in images, your ability to think in abstract type of ways. You may not be the type of person that always communicates with language. There may be something that you're better communicating through. That allows you to communicate with deeper parts of people they might not even know exist. And those particular types of communication make for strange relationships. Where you may be friends with someone and other people don't really understand why you guys are friends, but it's because you guys are communicating on a level in which other people are not understanding, or you're having a particular relationship with this person because you're in a relationship with this part of them that other people are not seeing, other people are not able to access because they don't communicate in the unique ways that you do. This doesn't mean that the relationship is healthy. It doesn't mean that they're wrong in questioning why you're friends with them, but it does mean that you're going to need to trust in your ability to communicate with different types of people, and to not judge a book by their cover. You need to be the very last person to judge someone by the way that they look or by the impression that other people are getting from them. This may cause some controversy or issues when it comes to your reputation with friends or your ability to keep friends, because you may be labeled as a liar or a cheat because you are so mutable in the ways in which you communicate, and you are so abstract in the ways in which you make, keep, and manifest friendships. It's most likely something that's just going to follow you. It's good to check in with yourself and see if you are being untrustworthy, but 9 times out of 10 there's going to always be a small percentage of people that just don't understand and who will label you with something negative because either they secretly want to be your friend, or they know that they can't be your friend and they're pissed about it, or it just didn't work out for them, or they just don't understand you and they don't want to take the time to do so. That's not really your problem, but that balance between understanding, using your ascendant, because this is kind of a struggle where you need to figure out Mercury is your chart ruler and it's opposing your ascendant. You need to balance it out and learn where Virgo is necessary, where Pisces is necessary, and figuring out how to balance off these two energies. Venus will help. You find where Venus is, and it gives you an idea of what it is that you fight for, where most likely this unique communication that you facilitate, where that is coming from. More than likely, when you have a relationship with someone, everybody's like, why are you their friend? Look at your Venus, and that is more likely to tell you what it is you're connecting with, what it is you're communicating with them. You find Libra sitting in your second house, and you understand why you look for people who are willing to groom you, why you look for people and you know what you're looking for when you find unique friends, because you're looking for support. You're looking for people who you can surround yourself with, who will help you bounce ideas off of and help you facilitate means of going about improving your life, going about defining who you are and making something of that. I don't want to say you want to use people to get ahead. You want to use people for their ideas to make or facilitate business endeavors, because that's a little bit more of a negative way to look at it. But in a sense, you know who to go to if you want to start something that could make you money. And those people that can help you make money in business endeavors are most likely the people that are already sitting around you, and you need to utilize them in the way that Libra tries to utilize different perspectives by talking to them and gaining their trust, gaining their ear in a sense, or you being able to be the ear to them, and become a real partner to people, becoming a partner in other people's endeavors, and more than likely it's going to surround resources and the balancing of them. This means really watch out for those 1 in a million friends. If you have friends, you might have many, but if you have that friend that has a really big $1 million idea, be their ear, be their partner, help them out, bring them in, or get yourself in their circle and try to help facilitate that, because you're the type of person that they really need in their corner, who's going to be there to help them emotionally, help them mentally, because you're going to be able to help them with their own abstract ideas and help them bring their ideas to an abstract place. And you're just going to be a very good support person. You're going to be very good to have on their table of CEOs or whatever goes on there, and you will benefit greatly from their benefits. Things tend to roll over to you when it comes to friendships. You get a lot in return for being someone's friend, and more than likely it ends up being monetarily. With Mercury in Aries in the 8th house as your chart ruler, now this could be Mercury in Pisces, this could be Mercury in Taurus, but we're going to be talking about Mercury in Aries as your chart ruler. With this place, Mercury in the 8th house in Aries as your chart ruler, it makes it very hard for you to keep your inner thoughts to yourself. You may be the type of person that finds it very hard to not just say what needs improvement, or to see something that's wrong or fucked up or just needs to be commented on, and you feel it needs to be commented on, and to not comment on it, and to not be honest, and to not be straightforward. It's very hard for you. That's that influence of an Aries Mercury as the chart ruler on that Virgo ascendant. You see something and you want to say something. You see something, you want to correct it, fix it, put your hand on it. Now there's a bit of standoffishness to your willingness to do it for any and everyone, because this is the 8th house we're talking about, and there is a bit of fear about your ability to communicate your intelligence correctly. But at the same time, this is Aries, so you deal with fear by attacking. You deal with fear by being less vulnerable while you do what you need to do. You're not going to try to stop doing what you need to do. You're going to try to be less vulnerable while you do it. So it creates a sort of mentality where you might willingly and sometimes mercilessly hurt someone, hurt their feelings, or attack what it is that they've built for themselves, maybe for the sake of helping them. But either way, you will excuse yourself for your mercilessness. You will excuse yourself for your ability to be blunt and straight to the point within your communication. And when it comes to pointing out things that are wrong, pointing out things that need to be fixed, or pointing out something that maybe people won't appreciate, too fucking bad might be your answer to something like that, because you have decided that it needs to be commented on. You have decided that it is been judged by you, and the judgment is not a good one. Your ability for emotional surgery is seen here, where you can sit, talk to someone. It doesn't take much conversation. You can pick up on a lot very, very quickly talking to someone and understand where their psyche is broken, what needs to be fixed, what needs to be rearranged. Let me tell you about yourself. Let me get into your head right now, because I understand what you're complaining about, but let me tell you what you're really complaining about. Let me tell you what's really wrong right now. I'm not sure if being a therapist is the best advice. It's gonna take a lot of maturity to learn how to not hurt people to help them, learn how to help them to help them. But counseling, maybe even consulting, is you're amazingly good at it, because it doesn't take much. It doesn't take much information. It doesn't take much research for you to just figure it out and understand where it is, what's the issue, what's going on, what needs to be pointed out, what's the black and white right now. This makes for your influence in the world to be extremely honest, to be extremely blunt, to be extremely direct. You know where your influence is needed, and that's more than likely where your influence is going to be, and it's going to be pushed upon people. Sometimes it's just what it's going to have to be. I mean, don't mentally rape people, but like, you're going to have to tell them when they need to be told, and you're going to have to point out things when it needs to be pointed out, and more than likely the consequence will be to the benefit of others. And you may have to learn to take people not liking you even though you've helped them. Like, you said something to them and they hated you forever for it, but now they're a better person, and they don't understand that they're a better person because of you. They may still hate you to this day, even though now they found success. But hey, it kind of comes with the territory of having your opinion being placed in the 8th house, and having your opinion being placed in Aries in the 8th house, where it's going to have to be said and it's going to have to be communicated, with Virgo being on your ascendant. Look at where Pluto is placed, and you see where your magnifying glass is. When you can point out what's wrong with people, where are you most adept at doing that, and where is your focus going to be when you pull out what is wrong with people, and when you pull out what's wrong with yourself as well. You find Scorpio sitting in the 3rd house, and you find again that kind of draw to, like, I cannot not say this. I see it. I understand it. Like, this is what I've learned. Like, this is what I get. Your interpretations are extremely in depth, and they're extremely on point, and it makes it extremely hard for you to not say anything. So Scorpio's just making that even harder for you to just not, like, I have a mountain of evidence. That's what Scorpio's giving me. I have a mountain of evidence of what I've learned from just looking at you, just understanding a little bit of what you've told me. And Aries, as the chart ruler, is making your ascendant much more abrasive, much more projecting with its opinion. All right, so Mercury in Taurus in the 9th house. This could be Mercury in Aries, this could be Mercury in Gemini, but we're going to be talking about Mercury in Taurus in the 9th house as the chart ruler. It may sound a little counterproductive, but with a Mercury placement like this, you may actually gain a lot from overwhelming yourself. Because with Mercury in Taurus, there's this thing about taking what's necessary, taking what they need, learning something, and taking from it what they feel is most important, a dissemination of information, really. Which means that you're never really finding your limits of what you can learn and what you can't, what's too much, because you're always disseminating, you're always taking it down and making it smaller. Of course, it's not like you're making it less potent, you're actually making it more potent by disseminating it to what's most important, but you're not giving yourself the room to understand how much you can actually learn, and especially if you're only getting information from one source, you only have like one teacher, and you don't read a book on it, you don't Google it, you don't ask a friend or ask your family about it. You're not giving yourself many different you're not giving yourself many different sources of information, then you have less to disseminate. The more sources of information that you have, the more that you have to disseminate down into greater chunks of information, and it becomes important that you do so, because you need diversity within your information. This is where you find Mercury in the 9th house. This is where you find the need for diversity, the need for expansion. Where when Mercury was in the 4th house, it's not so much a need as much as it was the point. Where with Mercury being in the 9th in Taurus, there's actually a need for it, because you're a disseminator, and you need to have a lot of information if you want to be able to move forward into your 10th house and get success. So you need to expose yourself to a lot of information. You need to actively do so. Actually decide you're going to do it, and then go do it with this Mercury placement. And it creates this sort of balance here with Mercury and Taurus in the 9th house, that you can be one of the best people at expecting the unexpected, one of the best people at being prepared for what's unpreparable. Knowing just the very basics of what you need to get by. So if anything crazy pops up, if anything unexpected happens, you can at least know that you can handle the basics, that you are not going to be left with no resources, with nothing for you to do. You are very creative in that way. You're very creative in the ways of being prepared for what's unpreparable. And you can see it in your ascendant. You can see that you actually tend to just always have the answer for something. You always have the ability to handle what other people are finding to be chaos, because you're somewhat prepared. You're always somewhat prepared. This also means that there's a mode of success for you that is unique. That means that there needs to be a great balance in your environment of practicality and freedom, which means you may be much better off as your own boss. You may be much better off in a higher position, working your way up, making sure that you work your way up so you can become comfortable with your job, because you need to be able to trust in your own process, and maybe need to be able to have other people trusting in your process, because there needs to be practicality, of course, and that's going to be coming from you 9 times out of 10, but there also needs to be freedom, and that's what you're going to be craving with this Mercury placement, the freedom to be as practical in whatever direction you feel that practicality needs to be applied, and letting things go that need to be let go of. Now that might need to be learned, but that's what that's there for, to be learned. That's what the ninth house is about, to understand your world a little bit better, understand your own philosophy a little bit better, and to understand how much you are capable of learning when it comes to philosophy and understanding the world around you. Because that disseminating of information can actually become a hindrance with Mercury and Taurus, especially in the ninth house, if you're not exposing yourself to more, pushing your own limits, maybe even overwhelming yourself a little bit sometimes, so you can see, like, am I learning as much as I possibly could be learning? Do I actually know my limits? And it's better to know your limits and to go beyond your limits when it comes to learning than anything else. You can look at where Jupiter is placed, and you actually find where this ability to expect the unexpected, where that's coming from, where you actually are best at that, where that is going to actually unlock the most doors for you. That's where you find Jupiter will give you that answer. Then where you find Sagittarius, which is in your 4th house, you see where you can best apply this skill, where you can best apply your ability to retain and gain information, and that's to teach and to be there's a person that can be a fantastic teacher who has that great balance of practicality and freedom, giving kids the ability to be kids, giving adolescents the ability to be adolescents, but giving them enough practicality that they can handle whatever comes, and your balance becomes their balance, and being able to pass that down to your children or to other people's children, just to generations behind you, is going to be very, very important. It's going to be something that's most likely very, very tethered to what your influence on the world will be. With Mercury and Gemini as the chart ruler on the midheaven, this could be Mercury and Taurus, this could be Mercury in Cancer, but we're going to be talking about Mercury and Gemini as the chart ruler on the midheaven. Now, this makes for communication to be stupid simple. Like, you are just amazing at being able to communicate with someone, gain their influence, gain some immediate rapport, and make yourself seem respectable. The more influential someone is, the more likely they are to like you. There's something about your mindset and the way that you talk about things and the way that you view the world and the way that you communicate how you view the world that really gains the respect of people and really makes people who have a lot of power want you in their corner, want you with them. They want to rise you up with them, maybe for their own benefit, but if they're picking you up, it's always to your benefit anyway. So that's definitely there. Mingling with people with great power is not hard for you. You might not even really be that intimidated by them. This also means that your words follow you. What you say and how you present yourself, communication-wise, really, really does follow you. It becomes very attached or tethered to how people think of you. So you really need to watch what you say. You need to watch how you present yourself in public, because people will start to know you for that, and it can really become a hindrance if you're not paying attention, or if you're being known for something negative, or being known as a negative communicator. Then it will start to limit your opportunities. This also means that people have a tendency to lie about you. Lots of gossip, lots of controversy follows you. And it doesn't always have to be controversy, but there's just always someone with your name in their mouth. There's always someone talking about you, and just be prepared for that and be able to handle that. your ability to dispense knowledge, your ability to, you look at Scorpio in your third house and you see that influence coming here. What it is that you're trying to communicate is going to be coming from your third house because this is Mercury. But that is what's going to get you ahead when you talk to these people. It's what you know that gets you ahead with these high influential people. It's how you display what you know. It's that ability to communicate your knowledge, and that's what's going to get you ahead in life. And it's definitely going to get you ahead in life. Your ability to communicate, your ability to network, your ability to get establish rapport with people who can open doors for you later. You look at Saturn and you see your easiest downfall. You actually see where you need to pay the most attention to keeping your mouth shut, or not going too far, or not getting yourself into trouble. Like, let's say Saturn in Aquarius, it's like my generation. With this placement in Saturn in Aquarius, you're going to need to make sure that you are not fucking up networking issues, making sure that what you say does not shed negative light on someone else that you're networking with, paying very close attention to the fact that you have ties to a lot of different people, and needing to be a bit more of a politician about your opinion in public, and making sure that what you say doesn't get out, and making sure that what you're saying isn't so negative that if it does get out that you're ruining connections, because it is very important that you keep your mouth shut and that you don't say negative things about the people that you're connected with because of this Saturn. That's just an example. And you look at where else Saturn could be placed in your own chart, and you see where you need to just watch out and not say too much, or watch out and make sure that you're not doing too much, where you could inhibit your ability to gain success. Look at where Capricorn is placed, which is in your 5th house, and you see that really it is your ability to just make connections. That's what this connection is coming from. You need to be able to earn the limelight. You need to be able to earn this praise and this success that's going to be coming to you. But that earning comes from being able to show up at a party, be there. That's the responsibility that's coming from this 5th house placement. Be there, show up, be where you need to be, meet the people you need to meet, and be there to communicate with them. Make sure you are always present and accounted for when this mingling is happening, and that's how you're going to make it happen, because all you got to do is show up and talk. Show up and talk and show up and establish some rapport, and you will find success, and you will find responsibility coming out of that as well, but success will always be looming. This also means that your influence on the world is actually going to have to do with entertainment. You may find very clever ways of teaching people or enlightening people or getting money out of people through entertainment, and your connections just allow you to do that. Programming entertainment, not just simply entertaining them, but programmed, like you think you're having fun, but this is what's really happening sort of issue. And you may be able to use your popularity, use the fact that your name is out there, use the fact that you are known to do so. Your influence on the world is definitely going to be one with your face on it, and where your influence is very much about you, what you say, what people know about you, and what they know about what you know. And then your actual navigation of what to do with that more comes down to your judgment calls with that ascendant in yours. This is your ascendant ruler we're talking about, your judgment calls. You're going to look at something and see where you can make money at it, or see where you can use an influential friend to maybe get ahead somewhere, and do so. It could be, this is a placement where things can get very negative very quickly and manipulative and bad, but we'll try to be positive, I guess. Mercury in Cancer, and the 11th house is the chart ruler. This could be Mercury in Gemini, this could be Mercury in Leo, but we're going to be talking about Mercury in Cancer in the 11th house as the chart ruler. This makes for the possibility for acquaintances and the groups that they align themselves with to actually intimately affect how you view yourself and how you view your own self-understanding, and this is because the people in which you join within a community or within a group of some sort, you treat them like family, of course with much time, but they become like a second family to you. They become something that you put a lot of effort into, something that you put a lot of energy into, something that you care much about, you try to protect, you try to support, and if it's healthy, in turn, they will do the same for you, and then you will start to feel as if, all right, this is who I am. These people are who I am. These people are my lineage as well as my bloodline. You know what I mean? They're part of how I view myself and how I view my history and how I'll view my future from now on with this placement. That's very healthy, and it's very, I guess, utopian in a way. If you really think about it, if a Mercury and Cancer in the 11th house person had it their way, it'd be kind of a utopia sort of situation. And that's kind of, you find that where these people go, or where you go if you have this placement, you kind of create a little utopia with your friends, where it's just like everyone's very calm, everyone's taking care of each other, everyone's taken care of, and all we're doing is trying to enjoy each other's company and feel safe. Now, an issue with that, though, is that you may rely on these people a lot, because Cancer has a way of relying. It's kind of in its nature. Again, we think about the idea of what I talked about in the other video, expanding the definition of Cancer and Capricorn, where Cancer is the public, and Capricorn is why the public is not eating itself right now. It's law, it's order, it's establishment. Cancer is that public, and we need to, of course, tell Capricorn, like, you know, take care of us, not rule us, take care of us, not control us, sort of thing. And that's that balance between these two energies. But Cancer is this energy that needs attention. It needs support. It needs to be able to have an establishment to work through. It needs to have a rule so they can get what they need out of it. If there's no rules and it's just chaos, then what am I going to have to do? Hurt people? What are people going to do? Hurt me? How are we ever going to get anywhere and get what we need and be prosperous and feel comfortable in our world if there's no rules, if there's no regulations, if there's no laws, if there's no establishment for me to rely on just to get ahead so I can work, so I can do what I want to do? That's the mentality of Cancer in the grand scheme. But when it's Mercury and Cancer in the 11th house, it's your ideas. It's all about your mentality. So what are you expecting from these people around you, from these groups that you're thinking of as family, or these groups that you're letting into your heart, really, and into your who you are as a person with this Mercury placement? You may be relying on them to support your ideas, and not in a way it's like, I have a great idea and I brought it up and I'm working on it and I just need, like, you guys to spread the word. Like, that's easy, that's simple. That's not really relying on them. That's just what they're going to want to do for you either way. Relying on them is that, I have an idea, what do you think? I have an idea, will you help me with it? I have an idea, like, you're not doing anything. You're just saying you have an idea, and then you eventually get other people to make this idea happen. You're relying on your groups to kind of take anything out of your head and make it real, when it's really up to you to do that. That could be a downside of this placement. And the timidness to sort of go outside of your group for any resources can create an issue where you're relying on them too much because you're not going out and getting it yourself. You're not going out and visiting new groups and making new friends so you can get the resources that you need, or get the support that you need in a different, less burdensome way. So those are the kind of like upsides and downsides of this placement. Now, you can look at Uranus and you see the idea of what chaos you're kind of hiding from, what it is that you want this family unit for. Like, the idea that, again, Cancer is about being the masses, and why the masses even found success. How do we find success as a society, as a species? Capricorn energy. We made rules, we made engineering, we made sciences, we made things to help us succeed and live, survive. Cancer is what we do with that, what we do with those sciences, how we bring it into our world and invest it in our families and invest it in our heritage. Uranus is that disruption. Uranus is disruption to the society's way of life. So when you find Uranus in your own chart, you're seeing how Uranus is disrupting your way of life, and what it is that you need these support groups for, what it is that you are so attached to these communities for. And when you know where it's coming from, you have a better idea of how to prepare for it and what to do to kind of establish your means of beating it, your means of surviving. When you find Aquarius in your 6th house, it means that it's very important that you do find ways to take care of yourself and to use the established rules and regulations around you to keep working harder, to not rely on them to make your ideas work, to not rely on people to make your ideas come to fruition, to understand that people, regulations, rules, the establishment is there to help you work better, to help you succeed more, not for you to rely on it, not for you to rely on communities. And and it's just a sort of connection there where it's like you have these great ideas, and your sixth house is saying, go out and make them happen. Utilize your support, yes, but do not rely on it, because you have work you need to get done. There are things that only you know how to do, and that you'll really only be happy when you are the one doing it. And this means that the influence the world has on you is going to be that what you learn through community, what you learn through other people, what you learn by trusting and learning to not trust certain people or certain situations, just the whole emotional knowledge that you gain through being so attached and being so mentally caring about communities and groups that you're in. Those lessons will transcend and become parts of your personal advancement, and your personal advancement in consequence will become how you grow and how you find more success in life. It's one of those places where it's like the influence of the world is going to consequently help you succeed, and consequently help you find more growth in life. So now, lastly, with Mercury and Leo in the 12th house as the chart ruler. This could be Mercury in Cancer, this could be Mercury in Virgo, but we are going to be talking about Mercury and Leo in the 12th house as the chart ruler. Now, with this placement, it's so hard because your subconscious is kind of like writhing to be heard. You have Mercury and Leo, it's a deep, deep craving to just be heard, to have your voice be heard, to roar, to have your thoughts be judged really and respected for the talents that they have, and rightfully so criticized so they can become better in time. When you have that deep craving and it's sitting in your 12th house, there's a writhing. Leo's like it's in a cage, and it's battering around to get out. Your mind is battering around to be heard, and creativity tends to be the only release for that. You need to find creative endeavors, find something that you can throw yourself into that will eventually lead to success. You need to know where the success is going to come from that, because you may have a tendency to just kind of throw your energy, your creative energy, into things that will never produce anything, into things that will never help you later. You just kind of just give up energy, give up creative energy to just a lot of different things that don't necessarily need it. And this does mean that your imagination, your inner world, can become vast and expansive and fantastic, but also addictive, and also inconsequential in the grand scheme of you surviving and succeeding in life. This also means that there's a healing quality to everything that you produce, and that's something to think about as well. It doesn't always mean producing something that'll make you money. It could mean producing something that'll do better for the world, and there is a healing property to the things that your mind makes, the things that your imagination can create. If you can put it out there and bring it into your first house and make it something real that Virgo can produce, and produce well, then that's something worthwhile, and that's going to be something that's going to help people, and that's going to be something that will ultimately help you grow, and will ultimately help you in the real world, help you outside of this inner world that you're in. And your ability to investigate and to look into the things that you're interested in, and look into the creative endeavors that you like to indulge in, investigating where that comes from, investigating where the rituals of that thing came from, and understanding why you're so attached to it and what you can do with it, and really getting a little more mental about what it is that you're doing when you paint a picture, sing a song, or write a book, and investigating what is going on, and maybe even turning the act of creating art into something that can be talked about, something that can be artistic in its own sense, and creating dimensions and those complicated sorts of things that Mercury in the 12th house is capable of. And again, this is going to be something that can directly affect you monetarily, with Libra being in your second house, that idea of money, making money off of beauty. But it also could be something that can affect you in your heart. It could be something that can affect you and make you feel as if you're doing good in the world, and healing and empowering, with Capricorn and Pisces between your 5th and your 7th. Now, your influence in the world is actually funny, because all this work that you're doing, and all this energy that you're dispensing, all this energy that you're putting into things that really are gratifying for you, and really are gratifying for what you're trying to do in the world, actually unintentionally unlock potential in others. You will actually unlock what other people can do by unlocking what you can do. You set a trend, you set a standard. When you have Leo and Mercury, your mind is going out there and it's saying, hey, look what I did. When you finally let it out, when you finally find ways to bring it into the real world with your ascendant. And when everybody sees what you did, they're going to look at it and be like, wow, I want to do it too. Or that inspired me to believe that I could not possibly do it. You become an inspiration. And the things that you create become totems for inspiration to other people. And I don't think it's something that you need to have in the forefront of your mind to create or to do what you need to do. But understand that that's more than likely going to end up being the result. And no matter what, even though I just told you, it still might shock you how much you can inspire, heal, and help people with just a little focus and bringing your imagination into the real world. So that is Mercury as your chart ruler. I'm like super washed out right now. That's better. Or is it? No, I'm not doing the shot. But okay. Thank you for watching. Please make sure to find me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all that good stuff. Google me, DuckDuckGo me, Cancer Virgo Astrology. Find me. Like and share this video if you feel like it's worth liking and sharing. Subscribe if you haven't already. And be sure to stay tuned because I might be talking about you next. Thanks for watching.
Always catching a flight, and sometimes I got to be out at the height of the night, and that's when